Hey, my name's Shanshan. I sell art on shanshan.co. Today we're going to review Plane. So this is a film by Jean-Francois Richet. Time is an hour 47 minutes, so right around the sweet spot of an hour and a half that I really like. We have Gerard Butler plays Brodie, Torrance, the captain. Daniella Pineda plays Bonnie, the head stewardess. Tony Goldwyn plays Scarsdale. He's kind of the corporate fixer for when things go astray at airlines. Mike Coulter plays Luis Gaspare. He's the prisoner that's on guard on the plane. Lilly Krug plays Brie, the stewardess. Remi Adeleke plays Shellback, the military operative on the ground to rescue the crew. So it's New Year's Eve, planes flying across the Pacific Ocean from, I want to say, Australia to Hong Kong and then to Hawaii, I think. And so this is the first leg of the trip. Plane has some problems mid-flight, goes through a storm, gets struck by lightning, and all the electronics go out. So it's forced to land on this really desolate island, and they barely make it. They land, and they start exploring, and then it turns out the island is inhabited. It's not inhabited by good guys. So the crew has to kind of battle the bad guys on the ground and, fight for their life and then get out of there somehow. So it's really kind of this classic struggle between kind of the good guys versus the bad guys and, some victims, which are the crew along the way. Kind of a classic tale, I would say. It's kind of a classic take of Gerard Butler. He played a lot of these president, save the president's going down kind of thing, the White House down, and I don't know how many versions were there, but there were several versions of where he plays a Secret Service agent. He kind of has to rescue the whole world, rescue the president from itself being attacked, and also his 300 roles. So kind of a lot of the hero roles, which he likes to play. Very enjoyable, kind of a reluctant hero thrown into battle once again. They had this big prisoner. He's actually black, which was kind of shocking because they usually like to have white prisoners, not to be racist or something. Hollywood's so sensitive. And he's really buffed up and looks like a really kind of killer he's accused of murder. So he looks very beef after they crash. His guard is killed. And so they're like, oh my God, what do we do with this guy? And the captain's like, I'm just going to release him, take his cuffs off. We need him to kind of go and check out the scene because it's a really brutal, it could be a brutal situation, which turns out to be very wise in the end after they run into kind of these pirates and kidnappers that live on the island. There's also this real danger with modern tech, especially airplanes. They're so electronic dependent with radios and electronics that, a lot of the pilots really probably don't know how to fly manually. So it's kind of the challenge. Can they still fly manually versus using all the gear and electronics and communications and radios that they have in modern day planes? So that's kind of an issue. They probably are trained on basic, flying manually, but I don't think most pilots do it that often. It's usually because those are like the World War II planes or something that are very manual, where it's only like the old gears, kind of like mechanical watch style gears that they have in those older planes with, the altitude and the compass, and that's all they had to fly by. So it's very interesting to see them try to fly a plane manually, and they just don't have a clue what they're doing. You also have this thing where the plane's been somewhat damaged, not too damaged. Some of the electronics go out, as I said before, and then the co-pilot's kind of working out, trying to figure out and fix the electronics. Is that really realistic? I don't think any pilot would probably be able to do that, but they might have some basics they would know. But for an airline and airplane and airports, those crews are really highly specialized. My ex-wife used to work at one, and they have a particular crew for every single thing. She worked at just the help center. They have one guy just on the baggage. They have another guy just on the repair crew. They have another guy on maintenance. They have another guy that flies the plane. They have another person that serves the passengers. They have other people at the gates. They have other people at the security. So all these roles are subdivided like 1,000 times, and there's hundreds of people in each one of these roles. So these roles are really highly limited, and it'd be highly doubtful they would be that well skilled to kind of get a plane by themselves with two people off the ground again. But it's a movie. It's enjoyable. It's very cool how kind of as they're landing in the jungle, it's like, oh, this might be okay. It's just desolate and isolated. Oh my God, we're never going to find anyone. And then they find people, and turns out these people are not good at all. So it's a worse scenario than they thought they were in. And then it's kind of this race against the clock to kind of, hopefully the rescuers arrive before they get killed off or kidnapped or something. There's a really nice bond that they build between the captain and his daughter. His wife has died, and the daughter wants to see him for New Year's, and he hasn't seen him a lot because he flies around, so it's really difficult for him to make time to see his daughter. And it's interesting because she's kind of cool with that as far as she doesn't hold a grudge. But I think in a realistic sense, if you had a dad that flew around as a captain and he took care of these people, the daughter would kind of admire that as far as the role of being a pilot, but being away from home all the time, there would probably be a lot of distance between the daughter and the father because, that's just really hard in a relationship versus a guy that's 9 to 5 and shows up 4 or 5 days out of the week at home. It's very different than a guy that's there once every other week, kind of pop in for a weekend, see the wife, blah, 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 see the kids, and fly out again, come back a couple days later. So it would create a lot of distance in the relationship. I know because I grew up that way where my dad, he lost custody and he had to drive 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours to go see his kids. And so he'd come once a month. And so that created a lot of tremors, I would say. Obviously, I have a good relationship with my dad now, but, at the time, I didn't understand it, but later I did. So it's kind of like, yeah, I'd be on the fence because she's in her 20s. So would she really understand that relationship? Maybe. I think it'd probably be okay because it gives him kind of an inspiration to get back. He wants to get back for his daughter because obviously she's lost her mother, so it'd be really hard on her to lose the father as well. So I like that as a backstory, and it gives inspiration for him to get back. Besides rescuing the crew, he has to rescue his family as well. So it's also a callback a little bit to 300, how he fought for his nation and died valiantly and lost, gave up his life completely for his family. In this case, it's reversed where the wife is already dead, and so he has to survive, right, as the sole parent. So it's kind of a little bit of a twist on the original 300 in a way. I'd say this is probably a good watch 1 to 2 times. I don't know if it's a collector's film. It's, definitely fun to watch. I don't think I would collect it, but it's definitely worth watching. So most people watch films that way today, so I don't say that would be out of the ordinary. For most films, you're not going to collect. It's not like a Pulp Fiction, but it is pretty a fun watch film. I'd recommend it. It's really fun. If you like to subscribe, you can subscribe below. And I'll see you in the next movie review. Thanks for watching, guys.